everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dance Talk Realness, a podcast where we discuss all nuances concerning education and dance. I'm your host, Truly, and today I am excited to welcome back Meredith Rabil Sibley. Yay!
Hello! Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course. Thank you for coming back. It's almost been a year since you were last on, which is crazy, but we're just going to pretend that time isn't flying by that quickly.
I feel like it was just like a month ago.
Exactly.
I really do.
Like, really, it's just like 2021 went by super slow, yet super fast all at once.
I know. It was like the winter months went by slowly and then summer happened and then like it's done. Here we are.
Yes. Yes. So, well, let's start by, if you could just update our audience on where you are now, any shifts you made. I know of some that we started talking about a little bit, but just update everybody on where you are.
Yeah, definitely. So last we talked, I was teaching high school dance at Northeast High School in Pasadena in Anne Arundel County. And I had been doing that for the last 8 years. And I made the switch. I am out of the classroom right now. And I started that. I decided not to go back this last fall. I had an opportunity come up and I also just really needed a change. So what I do for my day job right now is I work for city government parks and recreation, but I oversee all of the dance and arts and enrichment programs. So I started in August, so it's been almost 6 months actually. And it's been a good switch. And I am enjoying it. But I also like teaching dance is still like my heart too at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So in this new position, you're more so overseeing and less hands-on?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot more administrative and coordinating and kind of programming based, a lot more just kind of headhunting too, like seeing ways that we can improve the programs. What can we add? Where do we need more dance? Or like what style of classes and how can we serve the community more? So that's the aspect of it that I do really, really like. And I really enjoy that. And even just having the opportunity to do that in this capacity.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's actually awesome. I have always, and this is something we'll probably touch on, actually not probably, we'll definitely touch on with our second topic, but I have always looked at positions like that and thought, oh, that would be so cool to be able to have an impact at that level, like really helping to develop and push programming. But then I also, in the next breath, am like, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah. And I definitely experienced a lot of like uncertainty. Will I love this? Will I not like it? Is this the right move for me? And I will say that the change, like coming out of the classroom, has been a very positive change for me. Just like my mental health, just like my overall well-being. There were just some things at the school level that were just not, after 8 years, were just not a right fit for me. The children, the students, I love them. They were the best part of it. You know, they're what keep you there. Yeah. But it just became time to move on. And I had 12 dancers graduate last year. So it was like a huge group that moved on, and then we were sort of starting fresh. So it seemed like the perfect time to segue too. I was going to say, and I work for the city of Rockville now. So it's in Montgomery County. And I do really love working with the city of Rockville. There's like so much I didn't even know that they offered. I have some really awesome coworkers. So yes, that opportunity to like impact at the community level and advocate for more in dance and arts is there. And since it's only been 6 months, I'm still like kind of getting my feet wet, but I think there's potential for growth, which is really great.
That potential for growth is always to me, a great feeling to know that, okay, I made the right choice. I shifted into the right place. Like, it's not like this is a dead end. It's like, oh, okay, I can like really continue in this. And feel some more things out.
Yes. So that's where we are with it, and it's been good.
Like, that is so exciting. I'm so excited for you. So
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
A few months late, but
That's okay. That's
congratulations.
okay. My focus is still very much on teaching dance, impacting young dancers.
Mm-hmm.
That's still very much like my heart and my focus. But I'm also doing this during the day,
Yes. So how did you break the news to your dancers? I've always been horrible at that. I just would leave, which is not nice, but I usually just wouldn't say anything. I'll just kind of fade to black.
Yeah, like, oh, and see
Like,
ya.
bye.
I kind of feel like I Irish goodbye them a little bit. But in part because so we were basically all virtual last year, except for like, the last 3 months, March to June. And then seniors left, mid-May. And to be honest, I wasn't even offered the position until the end of July. So like I applied for this position on a whim, and was like, it's not a big deal if I don't get it. Like I have a job. And then like the interview process started to go. But again, it really took it took almost 4 months. I think I applied in April. So anyway, I didn't, at the end of the school year, I'm just, kept everything as is. I didn't think I was leaving. And so then when I did find out that I was leaving, I sent an email to all of the dancers, and like, I don't know how many of them checked it. I didn't get that many responses back. And then like the county took away my email within like 3 days or something of my resignation. It was very quick turnover. So I don't know how many of them, like for coming the fall, if it was like a super shock or not. And that was very hard for me, just because I would have loved to be able to like convey in person that, I need to do what's best for me, and it's not about you guys. And just as they spread their wings after 4 years, like it felt time for me to spread mine. So,
and that is a very good point that I think, because similar, especially when you've been somewhere for a while and you've built those relationships with the students, being able to show them that, this whole time I've been showing the students that, we're people too. We have off days too, we're sad sometimes, we're happy sometimes, and we open up and share, and we try to encourage them. Just like all of that, we also sometimes have to tell them like, okay, well, like I tell you to make the best decision for your future.
Yes.
I'm doing that now.
And grasp onto new opportunities.
Yes. Like we
encourage them to
preach it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we preach it, we encourage it. And so to be able to demonstrate that, I think is very important, even though in the moment it may be hard for them to, see it that way. Because, to them, it's like, we're leaving. We're just jumping ship.
They're like, what am I going to do now? I know. And I didn't want them to feel like I abandoned them. I think the person that is in there now is like the best person to be there. She's amazing. I love her. I still work with her. She owns a dance studio practically across the street from the school. So she's very like central involved in that community anyway. And it's like, I'm glad that she's there.
Yes.
I'm sure they felt like I abandoned them. I had been there for 8 years, but like, it's time.
Yeah. Yes. And I know the 2 high schools I taught at, in both instances, I'm like, the person who came behind me was the person they needed to come behind me.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. I very much, not that I had the reputation for it, but I was very good for coming in to programs that, weren't thriving or had been gone for a while and they wanted them brought back. I was good at rebuilding, but then someone else needs to come in and sustain it. Because I can, but then also that's just not my personality. Like I am very much like, okay, we're going to clean house. We're going to do this, get this set. And then I start getting the itch of, okay, I want to do something else. I want to give this same opportunity to someone else who doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not that I don't love my kids. I'm like, I do, but also I served my purpose here. Like my purpose was to make sure there was something to bring somebody else into, because there are people out there who they are good for that long term.
Long
And I'm
haul.
like, yeah, no,
Yes.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I was like, I will give you the jump start. I will boost you, and then you guys go be great. I will come visit. I'll
Mhm.
teach a workshop, but
Yes,
I'll
I
go
will
have
come
fun. Do
back
that
and choreograph. I will come
exactly.
back and workshop. Yeah, absolutely. And
Exactly.
yeah, I definitely, I know that when I came in there, I really did help, like kind of that same thing, stabilize, just restructure. And then I stayed for a little while. And then I really feel like even just with like the pandemic and COVID and virtual learning, and then the number of students who are like dance company students who graduated last year, this year was going to be such a like kind of rebuild and reestablish year anyway. So I had the choice to do that, or somebody else coming in might have been a little easier for them, only because I think it was just like such a fresh turnover, fresh start.
Yeah.
Just with everything that has happened in the last 2 years.
Yes. Yes. Like it definitely sounds like it was perfect timing to make
Yes.
that transition for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Awesome. So that actually leads a little bit, kind of sort of segues into um, imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I've talked about it. I definitely deal with it on a regular basis. And one
Mhm.
of your more recent posts, you do touch on it a little bit and kind of the role that it has played. I think also with this shift that you've gone into the new position.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how has imposter syndrome really kind of impacted you?
So I I think I want to like gather my thoughts, but sort of the
Yes.
last time that we talked too, I was really like in the midst of it.
Mm,
Um and just being like trying to sort of like push through, especially like on my dance social media account, and just be like, I'm just not sure if this like if this matters, or if I'm qualified. And but I was kind of still showing up anyway. And that's sort of what my most recent post was about, was just being like, I originally said to someone, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Like, am I going to gain traction? Does it make sense to do it? Am I, I'm not out there like having like a videographer in my dance classes videoing me teaching. Like, I don't
mhm.
know if I can sustain that right now. Or there, there's just so much competition on social media and
Yes.
Instagram in particular, or even TikTok. Um, and so it made it really difficult to like find my place. And that's definitely where that imposter syndrome comes in, is, do I have something of value to add and to offer? And as I like when we last spoke, I really was plagued very much with it, and just continuing to show up for myself, but also starting to realize like throughout the last year that really believing in what I do and what my goal, my mission is, which is really being able to ignite that fire within young dancers that I have always felt for dance. That's like my driving force. Um, and I've really come to the realization that if only 10 people want to sit and listen and like come along for that ride, it's still worth it.
Mm,
I think prior to this, I was very focused on, well, no one's really, no one, all those likes, all those follows, like it just seems like there's not very many people out there. And that's first not true. And then second, it also doesn't matter that much.
mm,
Like, you can still have a large impact with a small audience. And even as dance educators, like, we already know that.
yeah.
And so I don't know why I got so caught up in it, but it's very easy to compare.
It
Um,
is.
and so it's really hard to then be your own self motivator to say, like, I got to push forward. I know that what I have to say matters and is of value. And I really feel like in the last year, I found some clarity with that. And this job transition has helped propel that even more, because the switch that I needed was some creative and mental space, like brain space, body space, to be able to like rekindle my love for dance and dance teaching, education, being a dance teacher and mentor. I was just burnt out. And so this transition has really helped me find clarity and find like the mental space and creative space to give more, which is what I have been wanting to do.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that comes full circle back to imposter syndrome. I hope it does, but that's like where I feel like I am now. Which is
Like, I think it does. I think it does. Because similar, like that, just that feeling of, and you touched on this, like all the likes, all the, the comments, the follows, and it can still feel like, okay, but is it enough? Am I reaching enough people? And so getting to that place to be like, okay, well, it actually really doesn't matter how many. Like, I would rather have a strong impact on one than a mediocre impact on 100.
Yeah.
And getting to that place, though, it is a lot of work.
Yes. And I definitely, I do fear that someone is just going to come into my comments and be like, that's not the way that you say this exercise. That's not how you do this. That's not what I was taught. That exercise is actually better for targeting this muscle. And who are you to say that you have experience? And then I'm like, but I have 10 years, over 10 years of experience in this industry.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It is. Like, same, like you are speaking my spirit right now, that I have had the exact same thoughts. And I'm like, especially with the podcast, that I was like, okay, well, what if no one listens? Or what if someone says, okay, well, you're not qualified to speak on this? And it's like, I've been teaching for a very long time. And I was like, and I have taught K-12, I've taught university level, I've taught private studio. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, I'm actually hella qualified to talk about a lot of things. And we all make mistakes. So if I mispronounce something or if I forget an important note, that's normal. And it's getting to the point where being able to say that to myself is more common. And I'm starting to kind of relax into, okay, this is where I want to go and I'm able to get there. I just need to relax and not be so concerned with what this person might say or this person might say. Because I know I'm qualified and I know I'm not saying anything to harm anyone or to the detriment of the field. That everything I'm doing is trying to push dance forward, trying to help fellow educators, trying to help young dancers. And it's okay to not be perfect. And I think for me, that's that imposter syndrome speaking, that wants that perfection. It's like, well, you're not perfect at it, so why are you qualified? And it's like, but who is perfect?
And it's normal to make mistakes. Like that's what you said. And I think that's so, even at this level, like we it's okay to own our mistakes then, or to just, and then to go, the person who's pointing it out, maybe to go back and be like, thank you so much for that. Like we should collaborate on this. And maybe you can just build relationship off of it too. Certainly people are going to have a little more expertise in like a niche area too. And we should use that to our advantage. It's not about being the best overall.
Yes.
We each have strengths.
Yes. So. And it's funny because I apply that when I'm teaching. Yeah. And it's like, I need to apply that across the board.
I know. And that's so hard, right?
Like I've definitely told students, I was like, hey guys, if I don't know how to do something, I know somebody who does. I will call them and ask for their assistance quickly. Like, hey,
but I can
don't
train you to do it.
Exactly. Like
I can still train you to execute.
My favorite one is switch leaps. Cause I'm like, let me promise you one thing. I did a switch leap one time well in undergrad, one good time. And I was like, all right, you know what? I have reached my life goal. I don't need to do these anymore. But I can talk a student all the way through that process. And I'm like, you need an example though. I have people I can call that can demonstrate it. I was like, because no, I'm not going to demonstrate. I can demonstrate the walkthrough, but like real life do. I have friends. I was like, and I will call these friends.
and once you really step into the role of teaching too, we don't have as much time that we can dedicate to training in the same way. We are now dedicating our time to finding the best way to break it down for our students and have them reach it. And so that kind of like, I never want to discredit a teacher that's like, maybe can't do a triple turn. It doesn't mean that they're not qualified. And speaking of turns, like your advice is switch leaps and mine is just doing consecutive turns. But so much so that I'm so interested in helping students master their turn technique. Because I wish I had that help when I was younger. And so now, like, I can help you do it. And you will be able to and see the progress. So
exactly. Like, I want them to learn from my shortcomings. I was like, if you make a mistake, it'll be a completely different one. I was like, but I can teach you exactly how to get past the thing I had difficulty with, because I wanted to learn how to do it because I wasn't taught how to overcome it.
Right.
I was just told do it. And I was like, okay.
And so now you spent time figuring out how to teach it.
Exactly.
And, you know, some people that can do all of the things haven't had to step back and really learn how to break it down so that the beginner can start at this low level, break down that move, and then reach it at the high level, like the actual full execution of it.
Yes. And a lot of people overlook the value in a great educator's ability to break something down.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, it takes more work for me to break it down and explain it to you than it does for you to actually just do the thing.
Just do it. For me to just show you a million times.
Yes. I'm like, to really talk you through it and each of the things that should be happening and all the mechanics and what this body part is doing, what you should be thinking of. I'm like, man, that is a lot. And that aspect of being an educator does not get enough credit.
No, because we spend a lot of time talking about mastery, a lot of time breaking it down. And for dance educators too, it's a little bit different than the core classes talking about mastery. They're all hard things, you know, they all have their hard things to master. But I have all those PDs we've been in where we talk about mastery. Yeah, we spend a lot of time learning how to break it down for our beginners, for sure. And not just our beginners, but our students.
And that part too, I think, kind of gets overlooked. Not going to be shady today, but like I've run across educators that once the students are at a higher performance level, that they feel they have to do that breakdown less. And it's like, no, actually, you need to do it about the same or more, because they can handle more and they need more. And I don't want to just produce cookie cutter dancers. I want you to be an intelligent thinking dancer. I want you to know what your body is doing at any given moment. And if you don't know what it's doing, that you know how to start looking for how to figure that out. Like, I want my dancers to be able to do that. And the more skilled they get, the more they need that information to be able to have that, look at it.
Yes. That kind of like reflective practice.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it will help, or I've tried to see if it will help my dancers because everyone deals with, from what I've seen, most people deal with imposter syndrome to some effect.
I know.
And when I see students that are dealing with it, then that makes me want to just kind of dig my heels in more. And it's like, no, we're going to figure this out. Let me help you do this, because it is possible. And I need you to see it, because I see it. Like, I can see you can do this. We just have a couple roadblocks that we need to get over or get around. But it's very possible. I can see it. And then that moment when it clicks for them, and I'm like, that's why I teach. It's that moment right there when it finally clicks in. And I'm like, okay, so now you can never tell me again that you can't do it. You can say you're having difficulties,
but you know how to do it. We've gotten
exactly.
through it. We've gotten over that hump, over those roadblocks. Yeah. Yeah. And that's such a good feeling as a teacher, as an educator.
Yes,
It really is. And that's why
it
we do it.
is. It is. Like I love it. And it's fun because especially once I was able to start working with older students, so high school and above,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's seeing it click for older students
Yeah.
because they've had so much longer to kind of develop that thought that they can't really, or it's hard, so
Yes.
maybe I should stop. And so really seeing them not only work through something, but the moment when you realize that they're starting to do that push without you. And
Yeah.
it's like, yay. I was like, I got
Yes. Yes.
through. Like my voice might be playing on repeat in the back of your head, but now you're starting to
Right.
take that initiative and see that, okay, I'm doubting myself right now. So let me just process that, get through that. Okay, now let's tackle it. And it's
Yeah.
like, yes, like that's why we do this thing.
Yes. Yes. I love what you said about, I gotta remember backtrack because there were so many points that you made that I'm like, oh yes, 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 I'm with you. Just yeah, the one of them, oh, the motivation.
Mhm.
They've had like a little bit longer to kind of put up those barriers of the I can't,
Yeah.
sort of that kind of giving up mentality. Well, I just have never been able to do that. So why would I be able to do it now? And so, yeah, it's that as the educator, as the teacher, like motivating them to like push through that and break it down and weed out and like go back to the beginning. And then seeing them self motivate to
Yes.
completion for whatever that skill is. That's really valuable. And at a level of older students,
Mhm.
yeah, that's like it's a harder thing to do. And so then the payoff for them and then as the teacher
Yes.
feels great too.
Yes. And
So
I know I have at least one for sure wants to go into dance education.
that's awesome.
And so I really kind of hone in on her sometimes that I'm like, okay, I really want you to get this of how to push and push through because you're going to need to teach your kids that. Like you're
Yeah.
going to come across many a student that you're going to need to be able to show them how to do it, that either you're demonstrating yourself how to push through something or you're able to talk
Mhm.
them through. And so and of course for the other dancers this is still very important for them,
Mhm.
but the one who like I know she wants to teach, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Got to pull her
yes.
under your wing a little bit. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's
Yeah,
also
that
very exciting to see someone in college like they're like, no, I want to teach. Like I
yeah.
don't want to do the rest of it. I want to teach. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I had two girls graduate last year who are they're both studying dance. The one I love her to death, was kind of like my little protege. She's actually going to my alma mater, UNC Greensboro,
Oh,
to
nice.
study dance, and I think she is going to do. She was uncertain about the dance education track,
Mhm.
but she's loving the dance program there, which I was like, you don't have to go here, but I suggest it. And I gave her like a list of other like colleges to look into. But she asked me a lot about this program, and when she went to visit, it was the right fit. And I helped her with her audition video, and she got in, and she's doing so well there. She's really thriving. And it's like, it's that same thing. It's just like, you want to teach all these lessons to all of your students too, but when you have the ones that are going to they're going to continue with it past high school or
Yes.
past college, you want to take them under your wing a little bit because we've been there. We know that it
Yes.
takes a lot, that it's hard, and like we have mistakes that we made too, or maybe paths that we could have chosen that were different, that we just want to be like, this is what I wish I had or
Hmm.
needed to know, or I wish somebody could have just mentored me, to help me know where should I do like a summer dance intensive in college, or what extra program should I look into. So it's been really special, with seeing her do that. So even though she's graduated and I'm not at school anymore, I still have that connection with her.
Hmm.
Um, And then the other one too, I've got to follow up with her as well. She's also going to school for dance, and she at the time really has plans at some point. I think she wants to open her own studio. So
Oh,
that's like,
nice.
it's just really cool when they're like, no, this is what I do want to do. And so now I've got to go to college and I've got to follow it through. And so, okay.
Yes. Like I will always use my one baby as an example. She moved maybe a few months ago to Florida, so she's in the
Okay.
dance scene down there. Really starting to, like, she was already kind of blowing up on the dance scene, doing music videos and all that here. And I think even more so, like, she's like really found her area. And I'm just like, I remember you in high school. And I remember when I first got you, and you're like, well, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, you can.
Yeah.
I was like, you said you want to, right? You can then. I was like, as soon as you told me you wanted this, I was like, all right, I got you.
Yeah,
So
let's go.
Let's do this.
Yep.
And so definitely, I do love being able to stay in contact with those students, and, like, you know, little check-ins just to say, hey, how are you? Even the ones who haven't gone into dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to know that, like, you know, yeah, just like, how are you? Like, how are things? My two of my original babies, like, we go out to dinner multiple times every year. So, like, and we just catch up. And even though, you know, neither one is in dance, they still have taken a lot of things that they learned from dance and some of the skills that they were growing in the dance program, and they're growing them in these different fields.
And that's what we want them to do. Exactly.
It's like we're teaching life skills, and we're just teaching them through the medium of dance.
Yes.
And so I love it.
That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important. I will never stop saying that. Doesn't matter how dance like plays a part in my life. I will never stop saying that.
Yes, agreed. And even looking at my personal children, because I'm like, well, you're the product of two artists. I was like, oh, you were going to be in the arts. I was like, it was going to happen. I was like, and there are things you learn from that are going to carry over no matter what it is you decide to do.
Consistency, commitment, perseverance. I mean, I don't know if I'm like, was it all? But yeah, I mean, there's so many more life skills too, but I think those are three that that's how you go out and get a job, how you apply your work ethic to your job, and how you overcome obstacles and hardships.
Yes, very much so. If nothing else, the amount of times we have to push through and persevere through practicing a skill that we're just like, oh my God, I'm never going to get this, but I'm going to try it again.
Or not getting an audition, or not getting a part, or even being placed in the back of the dance.
Oh my gosh, being told no.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a life skill of being able to handle that. That is a life skill.
You gotta let it roll off your shoulders, and
know that you're still good enough, and know that you're still worth it. It's like, wow, you can learn that through what we are teaching. That it's like, you're not gonna always get the solo. You're not always going to be on the first line. Sometimes you'll be in that back corner where the lights are dim. But it's how
do you shine from back there?
Exactly. How do you shine from back there? What are you going to do? And that is something that the same can happen when you're in an English class. Like, you're writing a paper. That first paper, you may fail that paper. You get all the red marks. Okay, so what do you do with that? Like, do you just crumble? Yes. Like I'll never write a paper again. And it's like, no, you'll write another one.
Yeah, you will. It might end up being a cover letter for getting a job, but that's writing a paper, and you need to know how to do it.
Exactly. And, you know, I wonder if that's a connection that English teachers make. That is a good question.
I think sometimes I wonder, I bet there is like a unit where they have to like practice writing cover letters. I know they do resume building, at least, maybe not in English, but like a college readiness career course. I know they have those, right?
Yes. Cause I'm like, you know, that is actually a really good comparison that I was never taught.
I probably should just say that from now on all the time, right?
Yes. Like, trademark that, because like, I have never thought of that but that is so true. Like, I've always been a good writer, and yeah, no, that directly translates into how I write cover letters for things. Like, directly translates into that. And no teacher
I think it
ever
does for
said
me
that.
too. Yeah. You're like, well, at least I'm a good writer, because
Yes.
writing cover letters is no joke.
I was like, oh, glad I'm good at this. At least I can get in.
Yes. Yes.
Like, now we got to get through the intervy, but at least
Right.
I got past the first round. That letter was great.
I know. It matters.
Yes. But awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Definitely look for more on my Instagram account. I don't know why I said it like that.
Yes.
there's some changes coming this next year.
Awesome.
Some things happening. I'm hoping, my fingers crossed, but yeah, just some new things, new opportunities. And even though I don't teach dance as my day job, it still is a huge part of my life, and I'm finding ways to be able to keep active in that. So look forward to it. It's coming.
Yes. And can you share your social media accounts with everybody one more time?
Yes, I really only am active on Instagram, but right now it is MSibs Dance, MSIBSDANCE. So
Awesome.
follow me on there, and I'll teach you lots of tips and tricks, and just body love things, and just acceptance and motivation about dance. What I needed when I was younger from a teacher. So
yes. And as an adult viewing your page, I gather just as much, I'm sure.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Because I'm like, oh, that's a great tip. Because even if I can't use it, I'm like, that's a great way to explain that. Let me say that to these kids. And then I also send them your way. That. And I'm like, well, I found it on this page. Like, go look at it. She has a bunch of tips. Like, go look at it.
I am really glad to hear that. I mean, sometimes I am just saying things that I'm like, I think I need to hear this today. Mm-hmm. Or again, that motivating factor of like, I wish someone had told me that. So that's like definitely what helps me come up with some of my content and or like how I break things down. But I'm glad to hear that. That makes me keeps my imposter syndrome down here.
Yes. Like, from one educator to another, you are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
And you are giving, even though, yes, this is information we could Google or we can figure out on our own. I'm like, well, why should I do that when somebody else is already giving me a great way to look at it? Yeah. For some of it, it's a different way, because maybe I couldn't explain it in a way that my kids could understand, but you do. And it's like, whatever's going to be in the benefit of the students in the field is what I'm here for. So you are doing an amazing job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. So thanks for having me. It's been a blast talking to you.
All right, thanks. And thank you all for joining us here yet again at Dance Talk Realness. Make sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe across all the places where you can find us. If you have any questions that you want me to toss out at Meredith and, bring her back, because we'll be bringing her back.
Things will be happening.
She'll be back. Be sure to drop us a line, and we look forward to bringing you some fresh new content next week. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.